Alan Wright rubbed his tired eyes as he looked at the brain scan on his computer. Something wasn't right. This was the fifth patient this week with the same strange pattern, but none of his medical books could explain it. "Dr. Wright, your next patient is ready," his assistant called through the door. Alan sighed and closed the file. The headaches, memory failures, and these unusual brain patterns were becoming too common to ignore. As he walked down the hallway at Boston General Hospital, his phone rang. It was a message from an unknown number. "Others are seeing this too. Find me. Cafe across the street." 6 p.m. Alan frowned at the message, but couldn't shake the feeling that it was connected to his patients. At 6 p.m. Alan sat nervously at a corner table. A woman in a black suit approached him. "Doctor, I'm Olivia Bennett, military intelligence." She sat down without waiting for an invitation. "You noticed the pattern on the brain scans?" It wasn't a question. Alan leaned forward. "How do you know this?" "Because this is happening to military personnel too. Strategic memory loss. People forgetting training, safety codes, and even their own children in some cases." "What is causing this?" Alan asked. Olivia looked around before speaking. "We're not sure, but we found something you need to see." 2 hours later, Alan was in a dusty warehouse beneath a government building, looking at boxes of research from the 1980s. "Dr. Henry Collins predicted it," explained Olivia, showing him yellowed papers full of calculations. He built early warning systems for unusual space phenomena. 5 years ago, their systems detected something, but everyone ignored it. "What did he detect?" Alan asked, flipping through the complex notes. "Quantum signals that can affect brain tissue. Collins called them waves of consciousness and warned that they were not natural." Alan's professional skepticism battled the evidence before his eyes. "You're saying these are aliens." "I'm saying something is erasing human memories in a very specific pattern, and it's accelerating." The next day, a young woman was sitting in Alan's office. Katie Ross, a college student, was referred to him after her entire dorm suffered memory loss during one night when she was the only one unaffected. "I heard them," Katie whispered, as everyone slept. "Like whispers in my head." Alan tried to remain professional. "What did these whispers say?" "They didn't speak English, but I felt what they wanted. They wanted us to forget who we are. They seemed surprised when they couldn't get into my head." As the weeks went by, Alan and Olivia found more people like Katie who were naturally immune to everything that was happening. They collected data, building a picture of an invisible invasion. Then came the first sighting. Alan was working late when the lights in his office flickered. The temperature suddenly dropped and a glow appeared in the corner of the room. He froze as the glow solidified into a translucent crystalline form, vaguely humanoid, but wrong in a way that made his eyes hurt. He moved like flowing water, observing his research with an intelligence that seemed ancient and cold. Alan didn't breathe. The beam turned toward him, and he felt something touch his mind, gentle but insistent, like fingers trying to open a locked door. Then his phone rang. The beam dissolved instantly. With shaking hands, Alan responded. "They're getting bolder," Olivia said without greeting her. "We caught one on camera at the Pentagon. Whatever it is, they are looking for something." "I think I just saw one in my office," Alan whispered. "He tried to get into me the mind." Olivia was silent for a moment. "We found Dr. Collins. He's hiding in a cabin in Vermont and says he knows what they want." "What?" "Everything, Alan. They want to erase us. Not our bodies, but what makes us human. Our memories, our culture, our identity. And according to Collins' calculations, they are almost ready for the next phase." Alan stared at his reflection in the window, wondering if the shadowy figures that millions were beginning to report seeing out of the corners of their eyes were just the beginning. "How do we fight something that can invade our minds?" he asked. "We start by remembering who we are," Olivia replied. "It doesn't matter what happens next." The cabin smelled of coffee and old books. Dr. Henry Collins pored over maps spread out on a wooden table. At 73, his hand shook slightly, but his mind remained sharp. "They're called Vorsic," he told Alan and Olivia. "I've been following them for 40 years. Alan studied the old scientist's wall, covered in newspaper clippings, star maps, and handwritten notes. "How do you know their name?" "They told me," Collins said simply, "in '86, that they reached out to certain scientists. Knowledge offered in exchange for access. Everyone else thought it was a dream." Olivia leaned forward. "But you didn't help them." Collins laughed bitterly. "I saw what they really wanted, not partnership, replacement. They don't want our planet. They want our minds." Over the next week, They gathered others who showed resistance to Vorsic influence. Katie Ross brought friends from her college. Then came Sam Porter, a former Navy SEAL whose intense PTSD somehow protected his mind from alien influence. Stronger memories are harder to erase. Sam explained during a group meeting at Colin's barn, especially the emotional ones. That's why some of us can still remember. Lisa Winters, a historian who noticed the museum's artifacts changing mysteriously, nodded in agreement. They're not just erasing memories. They are changing our history, little by little. We need a safe place, Alan said, somewhere to store books, art, unaltered records, pieces of who we are. That night, they began the first refuge of memory in Colin's storm cellar. Books filled old shelves, hard drives, movies, music, and photos stored. Lisa organized everything with careful notes. Physical objects are more difficult to change. She explained that digital is easier. We need both. 2 days later, Jack and Gwen arrived. The young technology genius brought equipment salvaged from his laboratory. I think I can block them, he said, showing them a prototype device with flashing lights. This creates a field that disrupts your signals. It only works for a few minutes, however. Sam started training them. If they can't take our minds, they will try to take our bodies next. He warned, teaching them to move silently through the forest, to hide, to fight if necessary. Reports from cities have worsened. People woke up unable to remember their loved ones. Workers forgot their jobs. Children could not recognize their parents. The grim sightings of Vorsic have increased. One night, Jack's detection equipment started beeping. They're here, he whispered. Sam turned off the lights. Everyone put on Jack's neural shields, metal headbands that hummed softly against their temples. Through the windows, they watched 3 Vorsic materialize in the clearing. Taller than humans, their crystalline bodies moved like liquid glass in the moonlight. No one breathed as the creatures moved toward the cabin. Collins clutched an old photograph of his family to his chest, focusing on the memory. Vorsic suddenly stopped. Their bodies pulsed with light Z-blue. They seemed to be communicating. They felt the shields, Jack whispered. One Vorsic turned directly to the window where they were washing. His expressionless face rippled, forming what looked almost like a human smile. Alan felt cold fear wash over him. Then the creatures disappeared. They know we are resisting, Olivia said. Later that night, they made contact with other groups via coded radio signals. Pockets of resistance have formed around the world. People whose memories remained intact, fighting to remain human. Lisa discovered something on her laptop that made her gasp. See this government memo, she said, showing them the screen. They are preparing Earth for integration within 6 months. What does this mean? Katie asked. Sam's face darkened. It's me, and they stopped being subtle. Whatever you are planning will begin soon. Alan looked at his reflection in the window, remembering. Vorsic's almost smile. We need to warn everyone who can still hear us. As Olivia asked, we use their own network against them. Jack said, eyes sparkling with an idea. And I think I know how. Outside, the first snow of winter began to fall, covering their tracks as they prepared for the next phase of resistance. Jack's plan was bold but dangerous. Using cell phones and modified radio equipment, they would hijack the Vorsic's own signal network for a few precious minutes to transmit a warning message. We need to get to a transmission tower, Jack explained, pointing to a map. This one at Miller's Ridge would work. The tower stood on a hill 10 miles away. Sam studied the route and shook his head. Lots of people between here and there. Most of them are probably under Vorsic's control, I know. That's when Dr. Patricia Ramirez arrived at their hideout. The geneticist was working in a research laboratory when she noticed that her colleagues were gradually forgetting years of scientific knowledge. I have another way to preserve our memories, she told the group. We can store information in bacterial DNA. Vorsic cannot detect or delete it. Patricia explained her method, encoding human memories and knowledge into DNA sequences and then inserting them into common bacteria that live harmlessly in the human body. Even if they erase our minds, the information remains hidden in our bodies, she said. We just need a way to access it later. While Patricia worked with Alan to develop her method, Olivia led a small team to explore the radio tower. They returned with worrying news. There are humans guarding it, Olivia reported. People who work with Vorsic. Collaborators, Sam said with disgust. They were promised protection, Olivia corrected. They are scared, just like us. That night, They received a radio call from another resistance group in Chicago. A teenager named Gabriel Martinez joined them, a quiet boy with an extraordinary gift. He has a perfect memory, explained the Chicago leader. Show him a page once, and he remembers every word forever. Gabriel arrived 2 days later, a skinny 16-year-old boy with a serious look. Despite his youth, he quickly became essential to their mission. Memorize scientific formulas, historical events, and cultural knowledge that could not yet be encoded in Patricia's bacteria. While working on the bacteria project, Patricia made another discovery. Music disrupts their telepathic signals, she said, showing them brainwave readings, especially music with complex rhythms. They tested their theory by playing different songs when the Vorsic detection equipment was activated. Classical music helped a little. Jazz worked better. But the drums, simple and primitive, blocked the aliens more effectively. It's like your signals can't sync with the rhythm. Jack said excitedly, "We could use this." Olivia formed a new plan. They would split into 2 teams. One would transmit the drums through the radio tower to temporarily disable Vorsic, while the other would spread Patricia's memory-storing bacteria through the local water supply. The mission was scheduled for midnight. Sam would leave the tower team with Jack and Olivia. Alan would leave the bacteria team with Patricia and Gabriel. As they prepared, Lisa showed them her latest discovery, altered news articles in the city archives. "They are changing our history," she said, pointing to subtle differences in before and after photographs, making it seem like humans have always been in decline, have always been divided. They are setting us up to be easily won over. Before leaving, Alan pulled Olivia aside. "If anything happens to me," he said, handing her a sealed envelope, "give this to my daughter, Kelly, when she is old enough to understand." Olivia nodded, stuffing the envelope into her jacket. "Nothing will happen to you." When darkness fell, both teams moved outside. The tower's silhouette stood out against the night sky, his beacon of hope. Behind them, the forest was eerily silent, as if the world itself was holding its breath. None of them knew they were being watched, not by Vorsic, but by another human, someone who would soon change everything. The observer's name was Eric Foster, a government official who saw the truth about Vorsic firsthand. For months, he helped them, believing in their promises of peace and advanced knowledge. Now he knew better. Eric came out from behind the trees as Sam's team passed by. "I want to help," he said, raising his hands as they pointed guns at him. "He's with them," Sam growled, recognizing Eric from government broadcasts. "I was," admitted Eric, "but I saw what they really do to people, the memory centers they build, what happens inside them." Olivia studied his face. "Why should we trust you?" "Because I know how to get into the tower without being seen," said Eric. "And because I have this." He pulled out a small device. "He's a Vorsic communicator. We can use it to amplify your transmission." After a tense discussion, they agreed to let Eric guide them. He led them through a maintenance tunnel that ran up into the radio tower complex. Meanwhile, Alan's team has arrived at the water treatment plant. Patricia carried a container with her memory-storing bacteria, ready to introduce them into the water. "After people drink this water, the bacteria will live harmlessly in their bodies," she explained. "Even if the Vorsic completely erase their minds, the memories will still exist, waiting to be activated." Gabriel kept watch while Alan and Patricia worked. Suddenly, he whispered, "Someone is coming." They hid as 2 security guards passed by, their eyes blank and their movements stiff. Patricia noticed something strange about them. "Look at their necks," she whispered. Small silver devices were clipped behind her ears. This must be how the Vorsics control their employees. At the tower, Eric used his authorization card to take them inside. Jack set up his equipment while Sam and Olivia stood guard. Outside, the night sky suddenly lit up with strange lights. "They know we're here," Eric said, looking worried. "We need to hurry. Jack has connected his equipment to the tower's systems, ready when you are." At that moment, in cities across the country, people stopped what they were doing. His eyes went blank as a huge cleansing of memory began. On the streets, in homes, in offices, humans suddenly forgot their names, their families, their own identities. Back at the water treatment plant, Alan felt pressure on his head. The images of his life began to disappear. Graduating from medical school, his first day as a doctor, his wife's face. "It's happening," he gasped, leaning against a wall. "They are trying to erase us." Patricia quickly injected him with a small amount of her bacterial solution. Focus on a strong memory, she told him. Hang in there. Alan thought about his daughter, about Kelly's birth. His first cry, her weight in his arms. He clung to that memory as the pressure built. At the tower, Jack activated his transmission. The sound of drums, powerful and primitive rhythms, began to emit from the tower and spread across the radio waves. The effect was immediate. The pressure in Alan's head eased. In houses and on the streets, people stood blankly, some blinking in confusion. In the sky above the tower, lights pulsed erratically. Crystalline forms began to appear, dozens of Vorsics materializing at once, their bodies distorting to the rhythm of the drums. It's working, Jack shouted over the sound. The largest Vorsic floated toward the tower, its body glowing red with what appeared to be anger. It extended a long, shining arm toward the transmission equipment. Sam fired his gun at the creature. The bullets passed through his body without effect. The Vorsic turned its expressionless face towards him, and Sam fell to his knees, blood running from his nose as the alien approached. Addressed his mind directly. Eric ran in with Jack's neural shield device. He slammed it against the base of the tower and activated it. A wave of energy pulsed out. The Vorsic retreated, their forms becoming unstable. The leader's attack on Sam stopped. In that moment of confusion, Patricia released her bacteria into the water system. The first battle for humanity's memories had begun. 3 weeks after the battle at the radio tower, Alan woke up to the sound of helicopter blades. The resistance has moved to an abandoned mining facility in the mountains. Their number grew to almost 50 people. They found us, Sam said, limping into the common area, who hadn't fully recovered from the Vorsic mental attack. Government helicopters. We have 20 minutes, maybe less. Olivia quickly organized the evacuation while Alan checked Patricia's lab. The geneticist worked day and night to improve her memory bacteria. We cannot abandon cultures, Patricia said, frantically packing samples. They are more stable now. They can survive longer in the human body. Lisa rushed in with her arms full of books and hard drives. The materials of the refuge of memory. What do we take? Give them to Gabriel. Alan said he can memorize the most important parts. As they loaded the vehicles, Alan saw young Kelly watching from the doorway of the dormitories. He managed to find his 16-year-old daughter 2 weeks ago, discovering that she was naturally resistant to Vorsic influence like Katie. Where will we go? Kelly asked. Somewhere safe. Alan told her, although he was no longer sure if such a place existed anymore. Outside, Eric Foster received a transmission on his Vorsic communicator. His face turned pale. It's happening everywhere, he told the others. Whites with mass memory in every major city. People are forgetting everything. Their names, how to drive, how to use the phone, total chaos. They could see it on the road as they fled. Cars crashed on the highway. People wandered aimlessly. Some were left crying, unable to remember their own children beside them. At a gas station, they saw the first physical demonstration Vorsics in public. A tall, luminescent being stood in the middle of the street, touching humans as they passed by. Each person touched stopped moving and then walked away with blank eyes. They're not just erasing memories now, Olivia noted. They are replacing them with something else. That night, they camped in a forest. Jack worked on a new device while the others planned their next move. The bacteria is spreading through water systems in 12 cities now. Patricia reported, but we need something bigger. The beat of the drums only slows them down, Sam added. We need a permanent solution. Lisa, who had been quiet all day, finally spoke. I've been thinking about what makes us human. It's not just our individual memories. It is our collective knowledge, our art, science, history, music. What are you suggesting? Olivia asked. We built an archive, Lisa said. A complete record of human knowledge and culture. Then we send him somewhere Vorsic can't reach. Like where? Sam asked skeptically. Space, Jack said, looking up from his work. We sent him into space. The idea seemed impossible until Eric mentioned NASA's Deep Space Archive program. Decommissioned satellites designed to transport human knowledge to other star systems. One is still at the Goddard facility, Eric said. Completed but never released. How would we get to that? Much less launch it. Ellen asked. Just then, Kelly ran into the camp. There's someone coming. They grabbed their weapons, but the figure that emerged from the trees was no threat. It was a woman in her 30s, with short brown hair and a bold appearance. "My name is Morgenstern," she said. "I'm a communications specialist at Goddard. I receive your transmission and track you here." She looked at their faces. "I know how to block the Vorsic signals and how to launch that satellite." For the first time in weeks, Ellen felt something like hope. As Morgan shared his knowledge, a plan was formed. A desperate, last-chance effort to preserve what made humanity unique. Outside the camp, the night grew darker. In the distance, strange lights pulsed in the sky. The Vorsic were spreading across the planet, but so was the resistance. The race to save human memory has entered its most critical phase. The Goddard Space Flight Center was eerily quiet when they arrived. Morgan used his ID card to get them through the gates. "Most of the team is gone," she explained. "Either their memories were erased, or they fled. Only a few of us remained resistant." Inside a huge hangar was their target, the memory file satellite. Originally designed to transport human knowledge to distant stars like a time capsule, it now represented humanity's last hope. Lisa and Gabriel worked tirelessly to carry data, art, literature, music, scientific knowledge, and history. Jack and Morgan modified the satellite systems to make them capable of returning to Earth's orbit within 50 years. "The Vorsics think long-term," Morgan explained. "Their invasion has been planned for centuries. We need to think long-term too." Meanwhile, Alan, Olivia, and Sam have created a security perimeter around the facility. Patricia continued to improve her memory bacteria, now with access to NASA's advanced equipment. Kelly, who had demonstrated an unusual ability to sense the Vorsic before they appeared, kept watch from the roof. On the third day, she ran down to the main floor. "They are coming," she warned. "Hundreds of them." Through the windows they saw them, glowing shapes approaching across the empty parking lots. At the same time, military vehicles appeared on the horizon. "We need more time," he begged Lisa. "Upload is only at 60%. Sam organized his defenses while Eric attempted to use his Vorsic communicator to confuse the approaching aliens. Jack activated larger versions of his neural shields around the perimeter of the building. "After the satellite is launched, what will happen to us?" Kelly asked her father. Alan hugged her tightly. "We keep fighting. As long as we remember who we are, they have not won." The first wave of human collaborators arrived at the gates. Most walked like sleepwalkers, with empty eyes and silver devices strapped to their necks. Some carried weapons. "We can't hurt them," Olivia insisted. "They are victims." Sam nodded grimly. "Target the devices on their necks." The battle for Goddard has begun. While the shots echoed outside, inside the hangar Morgan prepared the launch sequence. "The satellite needs to reach the auxiliary launch pad," she shouted above the noise. "We need to move it now." As they rolled the massaged satellite towards the doors, the roof suddenly broke. Crystalline shapes leaked through the opening. Dozens of Vorsic, their bodies pulsing with furious red light. Patricia ran to the main computer and broadcast the sound of the drums over the facility's speakers. The Vorsic slowed but did not stop. One floated directly to the satellite and placed a glowing hand on the data core. The screens flickered as it began to delete the file. Gabriel, who had memorized critical parts of the data, advanced despite the danger. "You can't erase us," he shouted at the creature. "I remember." The Vorsic turned to him, extending his hand. Gabriel fell to his knees as the alien attacked his mind. At that moment, Kelly stepped forward. She looked at Vorsic, his eyes focused and intense. The alien's form swayed as if caught in a strong wind. "Get away from him," Kelly said, her voice unusually calm. To everyone's surprise, the Vorsic retreated slightly. Morgan took the opportunity to complete the satellite transfer. "Launch sequence started," she announced. 60 seconds. N. Pulled Gabriel to safety while Olivia and Sam held off the human collaborators. The countdown echoed through the hangar as the satellite moved into position. Outside, more Vorsic appeared in the sky, gathering like a storm. The launch doors slowly opened, revealing the black sky. 30 seconds. Morgan called. The Vorsic leader recovered and ran towards the satellite again. This time, all the resistant humans formed a line between him and the archive, facing the alien together. "We remember," they said, as one. "And we will always remember." The satellite's engines fired as the countdown reached 0. The memory archive satellite disappeared into the night sky, transporting humanity's knowledge to a safe location. But for those left behind, The real fight has only just begun. We need to move, Sam ordered as the Vorsigs surrounded the facility. The group fled through an underground tunnel that Morgan showed them. Behind them, the Goddard Space Flight Center erupted in blue light as the Vorsig destroyed everything inside. Did the satellite make it? Lisa asked when they got to a safe distance. Morgan checked a small tracking device. It's past the atmosphere. They can't reach him now. For a moment, they allowed themselves to feel relief. Then reality set in. And now? Eric asked. The file is safe, but we're still here. Olivia looked at their tired faces. We keep fighting. We spread Patricia's bacteria to as many water sources as possible. We broadcast drum sounds to disrupt your control. And we find others like us. But the world changed faster than they expected. Within weeks, Vorsig took complete control. The cities became processing centers where humans were systematically stripped of their memories and assigned new identities as workers. 50 years have passed. Worker 12,793 woke up in his small sleeping pod. Like every day, he put on his gray uniform and walked to the harvest area. He did not question his purpose. He didn't remember having had another life. However, sometimes strange dreams would happen to him. A woman's face, a child's laughter, the feeling of being something more than just a worker. Today, while monitoring the emotion harvesting machines, worker 12,793 felt a strange headache. Images flashed in his mind. A hospital room, a medical diploma on the wall, a name. Alan Wright. He tripped, dropping his tool. A Vorsig overseer floated nearby. Its crystalline body glows with a suspicious blue light. Defective. The superintendent asked directly in his mind. No. Worker 12,793 responded quickly. Just tired. In another part of the facility, an old man known as Keeper 7 watched the exchange. Unlike most workers, Goalkeeper 7 remembered his real name, Gabriel Martins, and his purpose. For 50 years, he pretended to be a memory addict while secretly maintaining a network of partially conscious humans. That night, Keeper 7 searched for worker 12,793. You remembered something today? He whispered. I saw it in your face. Worker 12,793 looked confused. I don't know what you mean. His name is Alan Wright. You were a doctor. You helped create the resistance against Vorsig. The words triggered something deep in 12,793's mind. More images came back. A radio tower. A girl named Kelly. A satellite launched into space. My daughter, he whispered. Where is she? She leads one of the free colonies in the mountains. Gabriel explained. The bacteria you helped create has kept some of us conscious. And there's something else you should know. The satellite is returning. Across the planet, strange dreams disturbed sleeping workers. Fragments of memories emerged. Names, faces, skills long forgotten. Bacterial memory reserves were being activated, triggered by a signal from space. In the Vorsig Command Center, High Commander Zareth sensed the disturbance. Humans are remembering. He communicated to others. Find the source. Far from the harvesting facilities, in a hidden mountain valley, a young woman named Maria Wright watched the night sky. His grandmother Kelly told him stories about the satellite that would one day return, bringing back humanity's lost knowledge. Tonight, a new star appeared, moving purposefully across the sky. It's time, Maria told the assembled colonists. They were all natural resistors, born with immunity to Vorsig against me. The memory file has returned. The colony's radio operator rushed to her side. We are receiving a signal. It is transmitting on all frequencies. Across the planet, in sleeping pods and workstations, in harvesting facilities and mines, humans heard the signal. Some listened to music. Others heard voices speaking forgotten languages. Everyone felt something awakening within them. In his small group, 12,793 workers. Alan Wright listened and remembered who he was. Earth's recovery had begun. The Memory Archive satellite transmitted continuously for 7 days. With each passing hour, more humans awakened from their mental slavery. Vorsig's response was quick and brutal. They are closing entire cities. Commander Luis Rodriguez reported to Maria's Council of Resistance. Rodriguez led a secret human military unit originally maintained by the Vorsig to protect against other alien threats. Now his soldiers have turned with among their masters. How many remembered? Maria asked. Millions, Gabriel replied, his old voice choked with emotion. But the Vorsig are adapting. They're destroying the water supply to kill Patricia's bacteria. They're jamming the satellite signal wherever they can. Alan Wright, now fully aware of his identity despite his aging body, studied the maps showing Vorsig's control centers. 50 years had passed, but his mind was sharp again. We need to get to the main telepathic amplifier, he said. It's their central control point. The amplifier was housed in what was once Washington, D.C., a huge crystalline tower that transmits Vorsig control signals around the world. Destroying it would instantly free millions. A teenager named Ben Elliott stepped forward. Like Maria, he was born with natural resistance, but his abilities developed further. Ben could not only block Vorsig's telepathy, but also project his own thoughts into their network. I can come in, Ben said. I can make them see what they expect to see. The plan was formed quickly. While Commander Rodriguez led attacks on Vorsig's secondary facilities as a distraction, Maria left a small team for the amplifier. Ben would protect them with his telepathic abilities. Alan insisted on coming despite his age. I helped start this fight, he said. I want to see this end. As they traveled to Washington, towns and cities erupted into chaos. Awakened humans fought their Vorsig controllers. The aliens no longer bothered with their human disguises, appearing as their true crystalline forms. Ben's powers proved to be remarkable. As Vorsig patrols approached, he projected images of empty roads or obedient workers. The team reached the amplifier without detection. The control room is at the top, Rodriguez's intelligence confirmed. Destroy the crystal core and your network will collapse. As they prepared the explosives, a cold voice spoke directly into their minds. Did you believe we wouldn't notice you? High Commander Zareth materialized before them, his crystalline body pulsing with furious red light. With a gesture, he froze everyone except Maria and Ben. Interesting, he said, to study them. 2 generations of natural resistance. We should have completely eliminated your bloodline. Maria faced the alien without fear. You tried to erase us, but humanity remembers. You don't remember anything, Zareth hissed. We have shaped human civilization for millennia. We erased and rewrote your species a dozen times. You exist to serve us. Ben took a step forward, no more. Across the world, as if responding to an unheard signal, awakened humans paused. They turned their thoughts to Washington, to the amplifier, to home. What is that? Zareth demanded as the air began to vibrate with invisible energy. You invaded our minds, Maria said, but you never understood them. Human consciousness is not just individual, it is collective. And now we are all remembering together. Ben closed his eyes, channeling the thoughts of millions of people into one focused wave. Alan, still frozen but conscious, added his own memories of fighting in the radio tower, of Patricia's bacteria, of the satellite launch. The mental energy overcame Zareth's defenses. Commander Vorsig staggered back as humans across the world united their consciousness into a single purpose. The crystal amplifier began to crack. Impossible, Zareth whispered. With a sound like a million voices shouting at once, the amplifier broke. The blast of mental energy spread, breaking Vorsig control everywhere it touched. Zareth's form faltered. You can't survive without us. Maria stepped forward. Watch us, you. Commander Vorsig disappeared, fleeing the land along with the remaining invaders. As the sun rose over Washington, Alan looked at his granddaughter and Ben, the future of humanity. Around them began the first day of freedom. They tried to erase us, he said softly, but humanity remembered. Commander Vorsig left Commander Vorsig. Commander Vorsig left Commander Vorsig.